need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun? What? Like a handgun. For personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. Gun?
Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, it's PrimerTime. My name is Michael.
Hey, and I'm Dan. How you doing, Michael?
Not too bad, Dan. What's going on with you?
Things are great. It's spring. I love it. My favorite time of the year, and I love that song, too. We got one of the best bumpers, I think.
Sometimes I think the bumper exceeds the quality of this show.
Oh, by far. By far it does. It's great. Really gets you moving. Got a special guest with us, ex-host on the UCY Radio Network, Justin. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing good. Everyone out there in Radio Land, has anyone missed me yet?
How you doing, man? Good to hear you.
I'm doing good, man. I'm just, trying to get my act together and still working on the old garage thing downstairs, and I'm making my bills, but there's a lot of effort, work, and time, and life that's really getting in the way. So it's nice to
shrugged off the corporate chains of slavery. Good for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I had to, man, and I appreciate you appreciating that, because I just could not deal with. I make the money for me now, so if I get one big job a week, well, that pays for me, my house, and my cat, and that's all I really care about. I'm not paying someone else's bills too.
That's a great attitude, I believe. I feel the same way.
Well, congratulations, so, yeah. And that gives you a little bit more free time than the usual 9-to-5 grind.
Michael, you got
any extra time to shoot?
Oh yeah, man. I've been shooting at least once a week now. It's been kind of nice. I get the free time. Like, you know what? I think I don't have anything going on today, and all my self-imposed chores are done, and the bills are all paid up. I'm just gonna take the old rifle up top of the hill, because I just got a shipment of nice new target ammo, and I got a whole buttload of it. And I need to run some through the gun. It's springtime. It's nice and warm out. And there's no shivering out there trying to, clean off your sights. Going like, why does this thing keep fogging up on me? It's just kind of nice going out there and, relieving whatever stress I used to have and making some targets feel the pain. So it's been kind of nice. I've been going out with, my 9mm and my AR, and it's been a lot of fun, really. It really has. And we have a plan with me and my little group of friends. We have this mini little gun club we got going on now. It's not like official anywhere, but we all hang out together. We're all friends, and we're going to make a little road trip down to New Hampshire, because they got a nice long range range to go shoot at, and we have some long range 308s now that we want to go sight in at like 200-300 yards, and we thought it'd be fun to make a day of it. So yeah, it's been kind of nice, having the free time to live some life and do some work and just kind of remember what it's like to be alive and not be a slave to the system.
I saw your ammo order. You ordered enough to have a lot of fun there.
It was all about the fun, man. I think I got a decent price. Yeah, I know I paid a little bit more for some of the stuff, but when it came right down to it, and the availability still is not where it should be.
You know, it's you did get a pretty decent price on what you paid for that ammo. I can't argue with it.
What ammo did you buy and what did you pay, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I bought 1,000 rounds of a MagTech 9mm FMCs, full metal case, which they shoot pretty good actually. And they're $370 for 1,000 rounds shipped. That wasn't too bad. I also picked up 450 rounds of American Eagle 5.56 stripper clips, which are annoying because they got to pull each round off. But other than that, I paid like 175, I think, for 450 rounds, which again is a little pricey, but I was just buying because I had the money and it was a good deal and it was available.
In today's market, that's not really that pricey, though, really.
Well, you know, I'm still basing off when I first picked up the rifle, because when I first picked the rifle, it was like $42 for a 100-round box of the same ammo. You know, so I guess it's probably still roughly in the same range.
Yeah.
So I'm not dissatisfied with my purchase. I bought some quality ammo, and I've not had one jam, I've not had one misfire, and it's been pretty decent, you know, for me. I bought some 12-gauge box.
With bringing up the misfires and stovepipe issues like that, with the recent run on ammo, we have to be concerned with who we're getting our reloaded ammo from. I would have no problem shooting Howell's reloads. I have serious concerns about going to a gun show in West Nowhere and picking up the bag that's sitting on Bubba's table.
Right.
I don't know what's in that.
That's funny you mentioned that, Michael. There's a guy that travels the local circuit of gun shows, and he's a reloader, and he's missing the last 3 fingers on his right hand where a round exploded in a gun that he had loaded. But he sells reloaded ammo at gun shows, missing those 3 fingers. And we always make a joke, would you buy your ammo from that man?
Well, you know, I'm sure Lucky's come down on the price a little bit.
Yeah, Lucky, Lucky 7. Why do they call you Lucky 7? Well, I only got 7 fingers left. I'm about 3 fingers short of a handshake, guys.
The guy looks like he's walked out of the mountains, hadn't taken a shower in 2 months, and he probably makes more money than anybody there at the show.
Oh man, I went to a gun show. Talking about gun shows, I don't want to get off too much of a topic, but I went to a gun show.
That is the topic.
Well, okay, all right, you guys win. I went to a gun show a couple weekends ago, and it was supposed to be the big gun show, the Champlain Valley Expo gun show, and it was like puny, and there was no ammo there.
Beautiful. You're on the spot reporter. How many tables?
Oh man, how many tables? Give me a second to figure it out.
Give it the drill.
There was probably only 30 tables, and this was like this was a big exposition hall, so it's a lot of echoing.
How much was it to get in?
It was $10 to get in. $10 to get in, but I was lucky. I was with a group of all my shooting friends and all their parents, and everyone came because it's a big group of us, and it was also a special occasion. So their parents paid for everyone. And we're like, you didn't need to do that. So I got it free. So it was really nice.
So I'm going to guess with a show this small, there was no charge for parking or anything like that.
Oh no charge for parking at all. Like that
of the 30 tables that were in there, how many of them were firearms or firearms except versus the T-shirt with the wolf howling at the moon, Tupperware, purses, hair bows, and assorted tools and knives.
Caramel corn.
I'll work this one backwards for you. There was one military table. There was about 5, accessory military style cargo stuff. You know, like the books and like the bags and gear kind of tables. And pretty much the rest were all firearms. There was no tables that were selling magazines. There wasn't like none. Like we were looking for Glock mags and M&P 15. M&P 9mm and MP 40 magazines. There was no one selling any of those. There was 2 tables that had ammunition on them, and one of those tables was selling stuff that like literally said World War II on it. And a lot of the ammo primers were starting to green over, get the corrosion. And I'm like, what would you buy this for? Like,
that's just discoloration on the brass.
No, it was it wasn't just it was growing stuff out of the primer. Like there was a bulge there. Like I'm like this is like this is not even collector's ammo, man.
That's a corrosive primer. It's already starting to corrode.
Does it go bang? Is my question. Doesn't go.
We discussed this last week, and we noted the same thing, that we're starting to see a lot of the elderly ammo that had been stuck in the back of Grandpa's closet since '64. Starting to make appearances at the same price as current production ammo.
Yeah, people are hearing about the price of ammo and going, dang, I got some of that in the closet stuck away somewhere for years. I'm going to go dig that out and sell it.
It was really...
We're seeing a lot of that, and we're also seeing a lot of, in my area at least, a lot of the online forums that would put people together to make the transaction. I'm starting to see people who are normally not firearms type of people. A girl's named Ashley. And they've got, I'm sure they had just gone to Walmart and happened to see it and bought a box of 100 rounds of bulk Winchester full metal jacket stuff. And they're asking $50 for it just because somebody told them you can double your money.
Well, they're like investment types. They're the investment type that really...
No, I don't even think it's an investment type because these are people who also may have an ad for iPhone covers or used baby Nikes or something like that.
I mean, they're just trying to weasel their way into something to make them a few bucks.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it may have reached its saturation point.
Yeah, so... the gun show was pretty puny and pathetic. We were thinking when we made a day of it. We all got up at 6:45 in the morning. We all met at the parking ride.
30 tables.
Well, we didn't know it was gonna. It was okay. I'm to give you an idea. The Champlain Valley Expo is the largest area to have a huge party, a huge. This is where we have the huge fair, the state fair every year. It's huge, huge, huge. So we're thinking like, oh, it's gonna be a ginormous gun show, and it turned out to be a thorough letdown. You see, the gun show that happens in the next town over from me, 4 minutes away, like that gun show I went to last time I reported on, that's 3 floors of literally packed elbow to elbow, guns, ammo, magazines, food, clothing, attire, deer heads, mink coats, and stuff stuff that people have tanned. Like this whole, the one that's local, that one's got, you can feel the heart and soul of this one. This one we went to up in, it's in Burlington. I was just like, why did we even come?
I've done that. At least it was local to you. At least you didn't have to go that far. I did a show similar to that. I was lucky I didn't work it. I just actually went to it to see. And I could have, if I was determined, I could have done that show in 7 minutes. Versus shows that some of the ones that we've been to, some of the ones that our listeners have been to, that take all day to walk through them. Like, we're really, really good shoes.
What kind of firearms are on the tables there, Justin?
There's a whole lot of pistols. A whole lot of ARs. A lot of guns I really didn't know what they were. Not so many hunting rifles. A fair amount of tactical style pump shotguns. But that was pretty much, it was primarily pistols. A whole lot of Glocks. Glocks were all over the place.
Any high powers or any,
no, not so much of the old stuff. There was a couple, the people that had tables with the old stuff, you're talking 6-shooters from way back in the beginning of the last century. Stuff like that. There was a few guys that had some custom built guns there just for show. But there wasn't, it was pretty much primarily, Smith & Wesson's M&P line, and Glocks, and a whole buttload of, Berettas. And that was pretty much the whole show.
What, did you have a large representation from Taurus or Rugers? That seems to be what's on, covering the acres of table here. Lots of Taurus pistols. Lots of Taurus plastic.
There was a few. I did notice there was a few Taurus and a few, and it was okay. There was a fair amount of Rugers. You're right. Yeah, there was. Now that I think about it, but not what you would expect. Most of the Rugers that I would see, they were really the small Ruger 380s, the pocket ones.
The LCP and
yeah,
those. We believe firmly that the market is moving to the concealed weapon market.
So yeah, there's a lot of those, and anything that was, a lot of the Rugers they were just so small and it was overpriced. The whole show was overpriced. I didn't buy anything. I was gonna buy a shotgun. But
that means if you're saying that the whole show was overpriced, there is one weapon that stands out in your mind. What was it? What was the weapon when you walked by and you saw the price, you went and turned your head with your mouth puffed and went, whoo, and showed it to your friend going, take a look at that.
You see that is a Mossberg 500 tactical for $600.
Wow.
I was like, dude, I'd buy that if it wasn't so expensive. It was a nice shotgun too. Real nice.
Did it have the T6 stock, which immediately adds 30% value to it?
No, it was just bone stock. There was no add-ons. It had a strap. That was about it. It didn't even come with a case. It came with a nice China-made cardboard box that had the sticker "Made in USA" put on it. That was about it. It was not worth the money, and I was looking to get a nice shotgun, and they failed because they were thinking again like it's the biggest, shiniest venue to have a gun show in the state, and everything was overpriced because they thought they could get more money out of the people because up there it's an hour and 20 minutes away from where I live. So like up there, there's the most population of people, and with all the debates about gun control and all the shortages and stuff, like they figured they could milk $100 here and there, and they also had to pad on top of that so they could have people haggle and make them feel like they got a deal. And I wasn't about to haggle, considering most of the tables I went to were people in my local area, and I go, you know me, you sold me most of my firearms, so I'm not going to give you any more than.
So why are you 25% more expensive on Saturday than you were on Thursday at your shop?
That's the point, exactly. Their whole point is they're just trying to gut people. Like the whole show was overpriced. The only deal I saw there, and this is kind of funny, the only deal I saw there was on those militaries like survival and tactical guides. Those were $8 a piece. That was like the only deal I saw.
Those are free on the internet, though.
Well, if you want a hard copy, you got to pay for the paper and the printing. But
well, that's true.
But that's the only deals I saw. Everything else is
all right. So this is disappointing. Let me get to the real issue.
All right.
Was there a beef jerky salesman or a candied nuts lady? And if there was, did you sample the product?
No,
because
there wasn't.
It's been my experience that the person who makes the most money out of everybody at the gun show is the beef jerky guy.
Oh, there wasn't, Michael. Doesn't it?
No, there wasn't. There was a concession stand, but there was no, there's no one walking around with peanuts and soda. That was
no booth set up, no table set up that were selling any food items. Boy, that's disappointing
It was a very disappointing show. Like I said, it was a thorough disappointment for that gun show because the local gun show.
I believe that beef jerky is the national food of firearms enthusiasts.
I would think so too. Is that they can't get about 30 years ago they were handing out tins of chew.
In case you're a vegetarian and a firearms enthusiast, don't worry, it's okay.
It's still okay, right?
That's right.
Michael, you're telling me about a firearm I've been looking at, and the only thing that's been holding me back really is the cost on that thing. And I could order it at the shop for $700. And you told me Palmetto State is selling the SIG 938 9mm, which is a pocket pistol that's like a Colt 1911, basically. It breaks down just the same. Lori and Eddie Prepper Chick, she carries one as a backup, I believe. They love those things, and the more I look at one, the more I like it. It really looks like a great, dependable firearm to carry around in your pocket.
Well, I saw them on Palmetto State Armory's website for $550 today. That's brand new, and it was black. That's right. It had a black finish. It had black grips, no chromey appointments on it or anything, no flashy bling. It was just plain black on black, and it was $550. It does not come with anything fancy, no extra magazines, no fancy case, no SIG weapon rubbing rag or anything like that. It's just the pistol, and it's $550. That's a pretty good price.
That's an excellent price for the quality firearm you're buying there. That thing, as long as you take care of it, it's always going to be worth $550 in my opinion. Probably more in the end. Who knows?
I picked one up. I've not had a chance to fire one. I have fired the 238, which is the 380 version, which is just a tad smaller than that one. And I like the 380, but I've always thought the 380 to be a little bit snappy. So even a small 9mm feels better to me than a 380. And I liked it. It felt nice. It pointed very instinctively, and the size is correct. What my friend paid for it, I don't think I would. But this $550 is a game changer. Yeah,
it's the 938 that I actually had in my hands was it had the rubber grips on it, and it really felt good. It was a great feeling little firearm.
I believe these are a hard black plastic grip that's with it. So I'm guessing it's their lowest end of that.
Well, even the quality's going to be there regardless if it's their lowest end.
Really, it's just finished. That's the difference.
That's exactly right. It's you want a shiny one with a nice engraved walnut grips, or what? That's about the difference, I would imagine.
Accessories seem to be a little bit tough to come by for them, though. Not a lot of places selling magazines, it seems. Or if they have the magazines, they're sold out.
I've been finding that with a lot of firearms lately, and other than the real mainstream things, not just the SIGs, but like my XDM, it's getting difficult to come across the regular full-size mags, even the 13-round concealed carry mag. I have a Walther P22, and I cannot find a reasonably priced magazine for that. Like, is there like some kind of embargo going on around the country? Like, is everyone buying these up, or are they just not making them anymore?
Well, you've got how many felons in Connecticut and how many felons in New York that are probably on a buying spree right now?
Oh, man.
Well, he's talking about 10-round P22, but you're absolutely correct, Michael. I saw where 1 million New Yorkers decided not to register their so-called assault weapons, which I don't agree with that anyway. But, so there's 1 million new lawbreakers in New York all of a sudden.
Well, and at the same time, just a little bit, the Georgia legislature passed HB 60, which is Georgia Firearms Freedom Base, and that takes all the gun-free zones and flushes them right down to the crapper.
What do you mean by that? Gun-free zones?
All the places
you're
that
not
have been
allowed to have firearms in those gun-free?
No. It's changed that. It's firearms freedom. It's basically said you can carry a gun anywhere you want in Georgia. So
that's what we need to keep this a safer society.
Well, if you're taking to take a look at the recent statistics in Chicago, just over the weekend, there were, what was it, 8 killed, 44 wounded in a 48-hour weekend?
That's incredible, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, that goes, when people start shooting back to defend themselves, those numbers drop dramatically. Tucson, Arizona, before the concealed weapons permit hit, was one of the most dangerous cities in the United States in the 3 years prior to that. There was 2-3 murders a day. The concealed weapon permit came in, and Tucson's a very safe city now.
Wonder what the crime rate has gone down in that city. Do you have any numbers or anything? Or
I don't have any hard numbers, but I know that in 3 years it was an outrageous amount, like 312 murders less.
Jeez. So that's a story you won't hear on the major networks or anything, I'm sure.
No, absolutely not. But Bloomberg deciding to spend $50 million is lauded as a humanitarian effort.
It's for the children, Michael.
That's right. Dan, thank you for reminding me. I should be flogged. I wasn't thinking of the children.
That's right. It's all for the children, man. We're getting that for the children speech all over my state right now because it's for the children. We should all register our firearms, and we should be lobbying to get concealed carry permits in the state of Vermont because Lord knows that we have a big gun crime problem in this state. You know, I think there was 7 murders last year, and 6 of them were self-inflicted, if you count them as murder. So I guess in this state, blowing your own brains out because you can't make your own bills or because you think your life sucks is a murder. And it really starting to irk me because we are in one of the safest states in the country. Like there's very little crime in this state, and because of the big gun debate, our legislature is starting to think like, oh well, we need to have these gun control measures too because everyone else is doing it. You know, it's that whole like. You want to walk up to him and
the gun debate is phrased incorrectly. And to me, it shows that there's a lack of education on the part of the people who are espousing the gun control because they always talk about gun crime. Well, that's like, you know, really that's like saying that we have too many vodka DUIs, you know.
Right. Well, yeah, we got to ban vodka.
There's nouns and verbs. Right? A verb is an action word, a noun is something that describes the word. So a gun is a noun, and crime is the action word.
You know, it's you know, you're right when it comes to the law.
I mean, I don't want to like start diagramming sentences or anything, but I mean, this is it just defies logic.
Well, I can simplify it for you, Michael. I wish I watched the video, and I know it was in a state in this freaking country. I want to say it was out west somewhere, but anyone has to just Google the points what I'm going to say, and they'll find the video. But there was a local state like legislator area talking about, and this is just talking about education in general of these people that we elect that are supposed to be making our laws. There was a woman talking about Obamacare. This is not a gun subject, but it's just going to prove how ill-educated these people are. A woman talking about the Obamacare mandate and how many women in this country are not being tested for prostate cancer. And the messed up part is the people that she was asking the question to, the board of whatever in this area, agreed with her. Like, oh, I think they do need to have more prostate testing. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, it'd be like me walking into the doctor and saying, I need a mammogram. And can you please check my ovaries? I think they might be malfunctioning.
They're inflamed.
Right. But when it ties right into the straight non-education of the people that we elect. Like, yeah, they're good. They're good seeming people. I know plenty of good people that don't know crap about crap.
Well, you've got the media giving you propaganda and buzzwords and key phrases, and that's all people have the attention span for. I mean, look, if you can't have your pizza rolls ready in 45 seconds, there's going to be hell to pay. So the attention span is gone.
You don't get between someone and their bong and their pizza rolls. It's got to be now. Half baked's on.
Except for people that like to get out and shoot firearms, you know.
That's right. And I got a chance to go out and shoot this week. Did you get to shoot, Dan?
Yeah, sure did. Shot a Ruger Mark III Hunter, as a matter of fact, Michael. It's got like a 7-inch barrel, 7.5-inch barrel, fluted barrel on it, stainless gun. Very pretty. It's got rosewood grips on it. It's very similar to the Ruger Mark II, but it's they've added a magazine safety catch thing. It makes the gun a lot harder to disassemble and reassemble.
Do the magazines interchange from the Mark II to the Mark III? Because
no.
The Mark I and Mark II were wonderful, excellent pistols from Ruger.
No, the magazines do not interchange.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It sucks, but yeah, that's why the Mark IIs new in the box are at a premium right now. As a matter of fact, the price of those things is probably you used to be able to buy one for $350. They're probably $500 now.
I could see that. They're well made.
Would you view that as a good investment item too?
Certainly, Justin.
Firearms are always a good investment.
They sure are, and some firearms are better than others, especially those with ponies stamped on them. It seems like, but there are others. One of them is the Sega 12 shotgun, which is going to be a rare bird one of these days. And
that's right. That's looking to be on the ban list of. It's definitely on the ban list. Dream. That's
our gun of the week, Michael, and I want you to tell us about the Sega 12. You're a proud owner of one.
I like them. Sega 12. It's a 12 gauge shotgun. It's a semi-automatic. It's patterned after an AK-47. It's made at the Izmash factory in Russia. It's was not designed by Kalashnikov, but based on his design, and he did give the final okay on the original design of the Sega. It's gone through a few different design changes, but basically it's a 12 gauge AK-47, and I've never had one fail.
So it feeds good.
It feeds wonderfully. It dissipates recoil in a way that you really wouldn't think it would. It has a very scary black gun appearance, and people tend to think that something like that has a lot of recoil, and it's actually not. It's not super heavy. It becomes heavy once you add all the ammunition to it.
Yeah, you can clip a 20-round drum on that.
That's right. There's 20-round drums. There's 12-round magazines. There's 10-round magazines. There's the 5-round and 3-round magazines. There's a million different sort of aftermarket parts for them. They're very easy to work on. They come apart the exact same way an AK-47 comes apart, with the addition of, up at the front end, there's a gas puck, which you can use to control how much of the exhaust gas is used to operate the piston. So that's the only difference, space. So it's a scary looking AK with a big ass barrel on it. That's what it amounts to, right? Yeah, it's really that, the muzzle on that is very wide. It's cavernous. You can,
you're not only staring down, you're not only staring down the loud end of it, you're staring down a cavern loud end, you're staring down a black hole of death.
Well, it's a cylinder bore 12 gauge barrel all the way to the end. I'm the one that I have. It's a 19-inch barrel. So this is more of a defense shotgun. They do make, them with longer barrels, 21 and I believe a 24. And I believe there was a certain run of some with 26 that they were selling as a duck hunter's shotgun.
Sounds more like a drone shotgun to me with 26.
26 inches on a shotgun is, that's a lot of distance.
Reach out and touch the drone.
That's right. When the Sega first came into the United States, when I first noticed them, people looked at them and said, "This is ugly and it will never go anywhere." I saw the immediate joy in these, and I picked up my very first one for $300. Currently, I've seen them up to $1,500. Some with fancy stocks. There's one turns it into a bullpup, which puts the action closer to your shoulder and brings the trigger group further down the barrel and giving you a very short barrel in effect. I've seen one in a stock like that go for $2,500.
Really? Was that produced at the factory, or is it a?
No, it was Kushna Pup was the company that made the aftermarket stock, and it's really nice looking. I mean, it was very space age, futuristic looking. It's kind of nice to have something that with that devastation potential in such a small package.
So you got so for example, your 10 round magazine now is just as fast as you can pull that trigger. You're shooting a 12 gauge shotgun shell. Is that correct?
That's right, as fast as you can pull the trigger.
I was going to ask that question.
Exactly, yeah. It's the fastest cycling shotgun I've ever used. And I've got a friend with a Franke shotgun, which is a fairly fast cycling gas operated shotgun. And I was dumping magazines of 8 faster than he was dumping a magazine of 4. One in the chamber and then the magazine of 3.
Wow.
And half the time he was getting hung up trying to fire too fast.
Wow. Now, Michael, with yours, what's the best ammunition for yours? Would you go with slugs, triple aught, double aught? What's your
Well, I'll
favorite?
tell you what, with a 20-round drum, if you use double aught buck at 9 pellets apiece, that puts 180 32 caliber pellets downrange in a very, very short time. I think that kind of makes you king of the block.
You'd be the cover man.
You should just nickname it the Hand of God.
It's something like that. It's you can see its potential on a range. It's pretty neat. It says get off my lawn like nothing else.
Well, I just want to go take that thing from you and line it up, like 20 yards in front of a Volkswagen Beetle and see what's left of it after a couple 20-round drums.
There's a few videos of that online, and I would say that go ahead and view those videos because ammunition is getting scarce again. There was an explosion at a plant, Rio shotgun shells. Their plant blew up and devastated the plant. There has been no date given as to when they're going to open up. Rio manufactures shotgun shells in 410. I believe they do manufacture 28. I've never seen any 16 from them, but I've seen 20 and 12 gauge from them in all different selections of it. So their plant just blew up. But coinciding with their plant blowing up, the United States government placed an order for 25 million more rounds of 12 gauge buckshot, which shouldn't really be a problem because Rio doesn't supply the United States military. Winchester Olin Corporation supplies the United States military. But it's just interesting that they put out the order for that at that time. And it's another one of the FBO.gov pages, and there's a purchase order out there for it, and it could probably impinge on the market again, I'm thinking.
Well, I'm glad I stocked up on 12 gauge recently. So
yeah, 12 gauge is nice.
I got a pretty decent deal last year for just some target rounds. Number 8. 250 rounds for $75, which I thought was decent at the time. This is during the scarcity of everything. And when I did my recent order, I saw a Remington double buck for it was 100 rounds for $75, which I thought was okay. I bought it.
That's a decent price.
It didn't seem too bad to me.
That stuff's normally $1 a round. You can see it normally at $1 a round.
So I bought this up so when I get my 12 gauge, I'll have some rounds to at least practice with.
I have noticed that I've been seeing larger packages of buckshot. I'm used to seeing packages of 5, and now I'm starting to see packages of 25 and packages of 100 for sale. I'm not used to seeing large packages of buckshot.
Yeah, it comes in 5 packs. You buy 100 at a time normally is the way I use it.
Well, that's what I'm seeing, and they're actually coming bulk packed as well.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, mine came with like 5 boxes of like 20 or something, which was nice. It was pretty. I don't know. I think I got a pretty good, decent purchase going here. I seem to not get the really good deals, but I'm not also getting railed over the coals either. So I'm not a gambler, so I'm usually pretty happy with my purchases.
Well, you need to treat that ammo as an investment because
I do.
Stuff goes up, year after year. We'll be saying the same thing will happen again. So I've seen it 3 times now, like the past 12 to 15 years. I've seen this ammo deal happen 3 times or more, and usually it always comes back. And this time it's all come back now, except for the 22 long rifle.
Always seems to. I got a pretty decent deal, I feel, on 308 Winchesters. PMC full metal jackets. for $300 for 500.
Yep.
That's not bad. PMC is made in South Korea, and they're one of the few places that electrically tests the charges before they're shipped. So PMC usually has the utmost of quality.
Well, how does that electrical test happen? Like, how do they electrically test it? Like, I'm just curious.
I would be in the same way that we test anything, run a current through it. You know, I'm sure it's grounded, and they run a current through it and check for electronic interference or impedance. You know, change in voltage or something,
or the change like the resistance through the shot. I see. Okay, yeah, I can see how that works.
But that's not bad practice ammo at all. You know, that PMC stuff. It's pretty good. It's all brass and copper. And...
Oh, I got a few boxes of the Fusion, hollow points that are just in case I absolutely need to do something with that 308. So I got some to run through it just to make sure I'm hitting stuff, and I got some to make sure I'm blowing stuff up on the other end.
You got that thing dialed in?
Oh yeah, I do. She hits within a 3-inch grouping wherever I want to put it right there. It's pretty nice, actually. I'm pretty proud of that Mossberg 100 ATR 308. It's actually a pretty decent rifle for the price. It was about $425 with the scope, and I know there's some more expensive and there's cheaper ones out there, but it's a pretty decent all around 308. You know, it holds internal magazine, four rounds. It says 5, but I haven't really figured out how to jam the 5th one in. But it's a real nice rifle for the price.
And that's with the synthetic stock, right?
Yeah, it's a synthetic stock, and it's got a rail on the top with the scope mount, so it's kind of modern in the fact that it's got the rail mount on it instead of like having to drill mounts into it and bring it to the gunsmith. You can just buy a scope and clip it onto the rail and sight it in yourself. It's kind of user friendly that way. I like that.
That's nice. That's nice. It's nice to see that manufacturers are starting to take the needs of the consumer into consideration again. There for a while, it really seemed like they weren't. And I mean, we'll still see that in many cases today with new items sold that are, they're basically sold so they can sell other items to go with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's nice. Yeah, exactly. They kind of like starting to step up their game a little bit and be like, we can sell more product if we just make it a little bit more easy to use. It's kind of like compare. I was back on my show. I used to compare stuff to cars all the time. It's kind of like the American cars of the '80s and the Japanese cars of the '80s. Well, you still see Japanese cars from the '80s on the road, and what do you see about the American cars? They're nowhere because they weren't thinking ahead. The Japanese were.
I'll tell you what. I really like the Japanese vehicles from the late '80s and early '90s.
I was thinking
about everything about before '95, and if it's Japanese, it's pretty cool.
I was thinking of you, dude. I got a couple of trial magazines in the mail. Like one was the Motor Trend and one of the Car and Driver. And on the cover of one of those for this month, there was a new Nissan is coming out with a new car based off the 240. No, the 510, the old Datsun 510 basis. It looks like it took like the Mustangs from the 60s and kind of made them like that, and like the last generation of Mustangs, it kind of like took the old, molded it with the new. Nissan did that with the 510s, and they're coming out with them next year, and I think you got to look into those, man. I can't remember what they're called, but they are pretty cool looking, man. Like they look like the old school, Japanese car, but melded with all the new technology, and it's actually a very sexy vehicle. I'd buy one if I had the money.
That's kind of neat.
I don't mean to get off topic.
Well, retro works in some things. Retro seems to not be working with a few things in the firearms market. There's two pistols recently that have come out in the last 2 years that really have gone for the retro look. And I think they put more emphasis on the appearance of the weapon than the function of it. And the two that I'm are the Kimber Solo and the new Remington R51.
So they're worthless, huh?
I've not seen a positive review of the R51 yet, unless it was a review that came out before the pistol hit the market. Every user review of the R51 I've seen, and I'm not exaggerating, I mean every one that I've seen has said, I am really sorry I spent money on this.
So what are the major downfalls of these firearms? I know
they don't go bang when you need them to go bang. That is the big downfall of these things.
That would be
big problem. I just bought a brand new car, but it won't let me go to work. Never starts. I see the problem. I can equate. Oh well, this guy's trying to rob me, and I'm going to point it at him and wave it around and click.
And the price points that they come in at are not in the area where you'd think, well, you only paid $180 for it. No, these are in the 500 plus, 600 plus, 700 plus range. I think the Kimber Solo, when it was brand new, was $900.
So what you're saying is you have a better shot buying 4 or 5 high .9 millimeters and just grabbing one, oh, click, throw it away, grab another one, click, oh, throw it away, and then the third one might fire? You have a better shot?
I would say that you're better off going with something that's tried and true. I personally make it a rule of my own to never buy the first generation of anything anymore. I'm going to let somebody else beta test it.
With their wallet.
And some of these weapons that don't go bang may actually go kaboom.
That is also a big factor. Yeah.
And by kaboom, I mean that's a catastrophic failure of the weapon. And that's something that almost can be addressed by our 4 safety tips.
The PrimerTime safety tips.
That's right.
Those being, you always treat a firearm as if it's loaded, inspect it manually, and make sure that firearm is not loaded, and you make sure the muzzle is pointed in the proper direction, not towards anyone, and what are the others, Michael? Tell us about those favorites.
Well, you got to be sure what your target is. You got to be sure of what's beyond your target. Make sure, if you're shooting at a paper plate, make sure that there's not a person's house 20 yards behind that. That's not a good idea. And probably the number one most important rule of firearms ownership and safety is to keep your booger hook off the bang switch until you are ready to fire. That means you take your finger off the trigger and out of the trigger guard. Keep it along the weapon. Keep it under the trigger guard. Do not put your finger in the trigger guard on that trigger until you are ready to discharge the firearm.
That's a big problem because I know so many people. I've been trained with firearms since I was 9, 10 years old. Like it's like what you're supposed to grow up around here. You train on your first 22 when you're like 9 or 10, and you work your way up until you're 18, and then you fired everything. And the biggest problem I've run into people that I've introduced firearms to, even my good friends that are older than me, they're from other states. They're playing Massachusetts, Ohio, Illinois. They're from all these other states. So they have that movie gun handling mentality. So they grab the gun, and I already have the magazine out and the slides racked. And the first thing they do, what's the first thing they do, Michael?
That finger goes right to the trigger.
Exactly.
Every time I would say, and I know Dan would agree with me, that when we're on the other side of the table at the show, I would say that 85% of the people that come up and grab a pistol or grab a rifle, immediately their finger goes to the trigger. You're
correct, Michael. That's amazing. You sit at the range all the time. You go to either a private or a public range, and you'll see that all the time. Hey, what do you got there? Let me look at your firearm, and they shoulder the thing, and that finger goes right to the trigger without even checking to make sure that it's loaded or not. It's fascinating.
Yeah, they don't know what the target is. They don't know if the firearm's safety. They don't know if it's loaded, if it's hot and ready to roll. They don't even know.
They've not had any education. They don't know the 4 rules of firearm safety. They've not taken any sort of hunter safety. Schools don't offer firearm safety anymore. The only sort of firearm safety that schools offer is an assembly that has somebody that says, "Don't do drugs and please don't shoot up the school."
That's about it, too. That's really about it. When I was going to high school, up until the last year of my going to high school, and I graduated in 2000, there was hunter safety in the school as an actual elective. So you could take it and get school credit. You actually had an initiative to take a class that was fun, and you got to go outside, and you got to play with guns. but you got graded on it, and it actually was an elective, so you got credit towards graduation. They did away with that. Now they still do it there, but it's all after hours, and it's all shunned upon because guns aren't good these days. And we're just, as a society as a whole.
What's wrong with these children not thinking of the children?
Well, they don't think about. They do think about the children. I need what I want now. That's what they think. Me. That's the children think of the children. And then when you get the parents thinking about the children, it's like, oh, we need to protect them from everything, including ourselves. That's a big problem.
When you took this class, Justin, did that count towards your, like when you went to get a permit? Did it count towards your permit? Or?
I got at the end of the course, I was a certified hunter safety course, which is required in this state to get your hunting license.
Yeah, that's what I was.
So I got my hunting license at the end of the course, and I got a credit towards graduation.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually. That didn't happen when I was going to school. Of course, you didn't have to have a hunter safety class either when I was in school.
Well.
No, I believe hunter safety now is, I think in Texas, it's required for everybody who was born after 1978. If you're born after 1978, you have to take hunter safety before you can get your hunting license.
Yeah, I think there's a rule in this state, too. I think it's actually like 1980 or 1981.
I don't have a problem with education. I do have a problem with the mandating of it. But that's I guess, an issue for another time. It's really not related to the firearms industry. But something that is the 410 shotgun shell. You guys familiar with that? I know Dan is.
Yeah, Michael.
Oh. Sorry, Dan.
You recently purchased a Derringer that shoots the 45 long Colt and the 410, which are kind of tied together there.
That's right. It's it's kind of funny. It's made by a company called Cobra, which has a very interesting history in itself. But this little 410, 45 long Colt, which is different than 45 ACP, it's more like an old cowboy bullet. It's made out of cast iron. It's fairly heavy, and it's not pleasant to shoot. And it's pretty neat. I like it. I've only fired 4 rounds out of it. I fired 2 rounds of 410 and 2 rounds of 45 long Colt, and to verify that it works. And it is now taking a place of honor in the console of my truck because it's at a value point where if it's lost or destroyed or stolen, it's not. I'm not taking a large financial hit. It's not. It's definitely not a rapid fire, scary looking thing because it. Well, to be honest, you can't fire it very fast and reload it because you have to actually get a fingernail or something up underneath the shells to eject the shells. There's no ejector on it. It's a very simple weapon. They come in. Mine was $100. I got it used, and I got a box of 45 long Colt and a box of shotgun shells with it.
Well, what a deal! That's a good budget firearm because that's something that'll get somebody off of you at least, or kill them or whatever. If somebody comes up close and you get to drop on them, they don't realize you have that. All of a sudden it's sticking in their face. They're going to back off. That's what we want anyway, is just to deter them. I'd hate to have to kill someone. I would if I had to, but I'd hate to have to.
Well, I like to think that, like, even just, on the old stand-up comedian viewpoint is like, you don't even really need to fire the gun most of the time. You just got to wave it around like you know what you're doing.
Well, I'd almost disagree with that because that opens you up for some serious illegal problems, and that's basically why I got that for the truck, purely for the truck. It's good for snakes. It's good for whatever could come by, and it's at a range where it's only got a range of, I'd say, probably 8 feet is controllable with it.
Is that with the 410 shell or with the 45 long Colt or both?
With the 45 long Colt, seemed you had to aim low.
Yeah. Well, it's only got like, what, a 3-inch barrel, 2-inch barrel?
It's got a 4-inch barrel on it. And actually, no, it's Yeah, it's a 3-inch barrel, I think. It's pretty short. The recoil is quite stout with a 410. And the design of the pistol doesn't necessarily lend to the most comfortable shooting. If you're not holding it right, you can kind of ding your fingers a little bit. You're just in the recoil action. With 45 long Colt, you know that you fired it, but it wasn't obnoxious. It didn't hurt your hand or anything because the little pistol is heavy in itself. Right. I mean, it's made out of like it's skillets or something.
Well, another car comparison. It's like with the pistols we're used to nowadays, all these composite-based, half metal, half composite pistols. You go to this old, cast iron clunker. It's like going from a Honda Civic with a supercharger on it to an old Bel Air lead sled, which is meant for power, brute force, and ignorance, but it can't get out of its own way if you tried.
That's true. The 410 45 long Colt, Taurus they make a pretty nice firearm for that, the Judge, Michael.
Oh, my dad has one, actually. It's about 30 feet from me right now. It's a very nice, actually, I fired that 410 and 45 long Colt, and that is actually the most comfortable, huge bore gun I've ever fired out of my hand. Like, it actually doesn't feel much more than like a 357 SIG. Like, it really does no recoil, really. Really nice. And my stepfather actually also has an old Ruger, like, cowboy style, 357 Magnum. And that thing will jump.
Those are nice.
That thing will jump out of your hands, though, when you're shooting it. I figured it out. I'm like, you gotta hold it just right. You pull the trigger, and it jumps out of your hand, but it jumps out of your hand. You gotta get used to it. Because it jumps out of your hand just right so you can hit that hammer one more time and go again. Like, it took me a minute to realize. I'm like, oh, I get the way they form the stocks on these things. Oh, I get it now. I got it.
The Black Hawk, is that what you're talking about? The Ruger Black Hawk?
The Magnum, yeah. And he also has the Judge, too.
Ruger makes the Black Hawk and the Vaquero in 357. The Vaquero is closer to the old style. But the Judge, I found the Judge to be fairly punishing. And maybe it's because it's got a 5-round cylinder and you can shoot a little bit more. But, and once again, 410 shells being slightly less expensive than a box of 45 long Colt, you're almost inclined to shoot those. And the 410 does have more of a punishing recoil to it. Although the Judge does have some nice, cushy, springy grips.
Yeah, it's got that squishy, it's got the little fingers on it, you hold it, and, it really wasn't as, I was anticipating holding a hand cannon, I'm like, I'm gonna hit myself on the forehead.
Well, it's not by any means is that a concealable weapon.
No.
You can put your shirt over it, you can put a jacket over it, but it's not a concealable weapon.
Well, you could conceal it if you told everyone you were a porn star, I guess, but that's about it. Did I go too far?
I don't carry it there. I carry in a different position.
Hey, I'm telling you that just regular birdshot 410 shotgun shell in a Judge, it's about the pattern at 10 feet is about as wide as a bathroom door, and it'll go right through a bathroom door too, by the way, and into the wall behind that door. Had a fellow do that, discharge one in the gun shop one time, right into the bathroom door. Luckily, no one was in there at the time.
Man.
Is that guy allowed in your store ever again?
Well, he passed on. Poor fellow, felt sorry for him, but,
Did you help him, Dan? Please say no.
No.
You didn't give him so much crap that he had a heart attack in front of you.
No. He was an interesting fellow. He had a lot of nice firearms that one of his in-laws stole when he passed on, but that happens. It's another quick hour. Justin, thanks for being with us tonight. Enjoyed it.
Oh, I appreciate you guys asking me on. Like it's always fun coming on air and talking with you guys, so I appreciate it.
I want to thank
Anytime
Jules.
You guys want me on, just let me know. I'll be here.
I want to thank Jules for the network, and Pepper Chicks After Dark's coming up next. Everybody's waiting on that. Michael, you got the last word, and shout out to Nick, by the way.
Well, yeah, I'd like to give Nick a shout out. I'd like to send some best wishes to my buddy Howell. Stay strong, man. And I'd like to thank UCY I'd like to thank Jules and everybody. Stick around. Proper Chicks After Dark. Thank you.